Hello, and welcome back to this Trails of Cold Steel 3 Let's Play with me, SLJ RPG. In the last episode, we finished up in Heimdall, went around, did our fast things, but today, we actually are going to head straight for what's probably the end of the game. So let's do this. 100 episode Let's Play series on the channel. We've only had those a couple of times. Heimdall Cathedral. Emran Gaish said people wish to speak with us. Probably take a while. We should take care of any business first. I'm actually going to do one thing before I go in. Which is, I'm going to head to the field exercise camp. We obviously already gave our reports in here, but I'm going to go ahead and use the showers a couple of times. Mainly so I can get that CP up for whatever's about to erupt.
I feel refreshed.
Now, did that do everyone? That's the question. Even the people that I've got in reserve? It did. Nice. That's what we want. So we'll do it one more time.
That was refreshing.
And then let's head towards Sankt District. I guess it's going to be Lysander and Rasheen. And I'm actually going to change the people in. I think it makes sense, since Gaius and Emma are both here, it makes sense to have Gaius with me. Just because we don't use him as much, I'll use Elliot as well. As much as I do kind of want to bring Laura along. But this feels like a good idea.
Yes, it's my turn.
Let's go. I'm up.
Let's go. Let's head in. I left my bloody coffee over the other side of the room. 1 second. And we're back. Let's enter. So I'm going to be recording whatever's now to the end in one spell swoop. My partner's away for the weekend. So it's just me and the dogs. And Cold Steel, and possibly whatever I choose to record afterwards. No one's here? How can this cathedral be so completely empty?
So, you've arrived at last.
Yep, Rasheen. Oh, you're from the Leaves Chapel, Sister Rasheen. I heard rumors, but wait, so Gaius and Emma were talking about... I was somewhat expecting you to show up here, but your main objective is different, right?
Yes, it's good to see you all again. Please, come in. They're waiting for you just over there.
I'm glad you all finally made it.
That is Mr.
The
Lysander.
church has decided this issue now merits the attention of the Congregation for the Sacraments. As such, the Archbishop and all the staff here have been moved to another location.
Huh? I get it now. Huh? You were that former instructor of Thors' main campus, Thomas?
Thank you for all your diligence, Rosine. I'd feel much better if you were to stand watch over the front door now, just in case.
Yes, understood. Leave it to me.
What kind of weapon does she have? What was all of that about? This is pretty shocking to us too.
Let me introduce you. This man is a member of the Gralsritter, a division of the Septian Church. He's the second in command, in fact. Thomas Lysander. He holds the seat of Second Dominion and is sometimes known by his title, the Partitioner.
Gralsritter? They're an armed knight organization that is run by the church. So I'd heard that the female terrorist S was once among their ranks. Wait a minute. Guys, does this mean... Are you...
Now allow me to introduce you. This man is one of the Gralsritter's 12 Dominion. the successor to the 8th Dominion, Gaius Warzel.
What's his name? But why? Is that why we couldn't get a hold of you for the past 6 months?
Yeah, a lot happened all at once. After graduating from Thors, I returned to Nord and began observing the struggle between Erebonia and Calvert. However, I began to feel something dark and sinister carried on the winds of the plateaus. I consulted my father and the chief, and eventually my old teacher, Father Barkhorn, came to visit. You might remember the name. He was the traveling priest we chased after during the Civil War.
Is he the number one?
But it turns out, he was also the 8th Dominion of the Grolsritter, with the title the Roaring Lion.
There we go.
He was an extremely skilled knight who investigated the Salt Pale in Northumbria and trained Brigadier General Bardius. Apparently, he was worried and came to Nord to check up on me. He explained to me that what I had been sensing was called the Gale of Ruin. I'm not sure why I'm able to sense it. Maybe it's because I'm a descendant of those who fought alongside the Lionheart Emperor.
Maybe.
I mentioned this to him and he came to a realization. But then it happened. A Calvardian ship that broke past the 7th Armored Division attacked my village. My father was away at the time. I fought back in an attempt to protect my family, but it was no use.
Holy shit.
Right as I prepared myself for death, my teacher threw his huge body in the way to protect me. And as he lay there dying, he passed his stigma onto me. Across the nearly 1,000-year history of the Grolsritter, its highest-ranking members have each borne one of 12 sacred markings.
Okay.
This was one of those markings.
The Roaring Lion. I've heard that name many times. He saved many people who were affected by the disaster in Northumbria. Yes, among the current Dominion members, he was the most veteran. And after the stigma was passed on to Gaius, I took him to the holy city of Artrea, where he received the knight's training. Hence his half-year of silence. I see. If that's what's happening, you should have told us. We could have helped you. It's okay. Everything happened so quickly. I did everything I had to and finished my knight training. Last month, Eustace was finally able to reach me. The power I've received from my master. With that, I will save the Embar, my second home, as a member of Class VII. Gaius. Sheesh. You've always been so grand and reliable. Thank you, Gaius. Please lend us your strength. What's his name? Yes, I will give you my all. Seeing someone like him put us under even more pressure. The gap isn't just in age and experience. The group suddenly has become awfully formidable. Not really. We're still training just as much as you guys. I have a ways to go before I reach the heights of my predecessors. Speaking of which...
Grandmother! Stop hiding! Come out already! You're the one who called us here in the first place, aren't you?
I only hid myself so as not to interrupt your discussion.
Here she is. Xenia is crazy. You're Emma's grandmother. Xenia is that yours. The Order of the Witches. Rosalia, was it?
Indeed. But you may simply call me Rose. I had you all gather here for one reason. To explain to you the background between the Hexen clan and the church.
Okay. They work in unison. I see, so that's how it is. Aren't the witches opposed to the church?
It's not as though we don't believe in Erebos. There have been some differences in opinion over the years, but we and the church have worked together on a number of occasions.
For example, during the War of the Lions, or the vampire incident in the Middle Ages. Not to mention the fight against the Dark Dragon 800 years ago.
Okay.
But all that was just Rose sticking her nose into other people's business.
Huh? Wait, so you were involved in that?
Legend has it, Emperor Dreikel's camp was once visited by a good witch. And the novel Red Moon Rose features a vampire hunter affiliated with the church who was, in truth, the true ancestor of the vampires. The woman you now see before you was both of these people, even if she looks a bit different.
How old are you?
800 or so. However, you should know that my situation is somewhat unique. All other witches are normal humans. Except, of course, for the fact that they are all descendants of those who once guarded the Septarian of Fire.
Septarian of Fire. The same as the Aureole of Liberal and the Great Tree of Crossbell. Septarians, the 7 gifts bestowed on humanity by Erebos, said they were lost during the Great Collapse. They're the things Erebos have been trying to get their hands on this whole time. For now, now for the main topic. Now where to begin? Grandmother, we don't know anything beyond this. Don't leave out any details. Make sure you explain it fully. I second the request. I don't know the details either. Let's see, Rosla. Perhaps we should take turns talking. Very well, that will suffice. I'm sure you've noticed by now, but there's a front and back to this empire. The spirit veins are directly affected by the turbulence of the government and war. The cause is cryptids, the powerful monsters from the other planes to stir. That explains it, then. As the Empire's territory spreads, so will they. The Primorogras and Magic Knights, where do they first come from? Where did they come from in its first place? Well, to begin, the Pleroma grasses and Mana grass from the higher planes once served as the eyes and ears of the Septorian of Mirage. It's normally blue, but after all the incidents in Crossbell, it's all vanished. Then, until after Crossbell, it became part of the Empire, at which point it began to reappearing in this new scarlet shade. The implications are rather chilling. It changed color to match the Infernal Castle, perhaps. There's undoubtedly a connection. As for the Magic Knights, you may have heard before, but they are golems from the Dark Ages. They were created by mages of the Empire to fight against the Divine Knights. During the Civil War, something caused them to stir once more, and now appear in Crossbell via the Spirit Path. No way. That would also explain the increased incidence of cryptids lately. What about the Society? The Phantasmal Blaze Plan. They sought to use the Crossbell's false phantasm to awaken the blaze in Erebonia. At least that's what I heard. Seriously? So that's their plan. When did you hear that? Well, last night I heard it from the Chancellor himself. He told me other intriguing things too, but I felt like he intentionally left out some of the more important details. I see. How'd you talk to him, but... Seems Erebos' work in Crossbell 2 years ago was to bring some kind of change in Erebonia. Just so you know, Crossbell's Mirage Septorian was an artificially created fake. It was stronger than the original, but the Society had no interest in it. Why, I'd hazard a guess, their goal is to acquire 2 treasures that originally existed here. The Septorians of Fire and Earth that once called the lands of Erebos home. Septorians of Fire and Earth. Liberal had the Septorian of Space, and Crossbell had the Septorian of Mirage, but Erebonia had 2 Septorians. Hold a second. Emma, if the witches are descendants of the people who guarded the Septorian of Fire, then the Black Worship and the Gnomes are the same people. The descendants of those who guarded the Septorian of Earth are counterparts, much like the royal Lise family of Liberal and the Qua family in Crossbell. In addition, you may be aware that each Septorian has its own holy beast assigned to watch over it. Liberal had an ancient dragon, Crossbell had a divine wolf, and as it had 2 Septorians, Erebonia had 2 holy beasts as well. After the Great Collapse, each of them vanished alongside the Septorian they were there to oversee. That's the core of the issue. The 2 Septorians are the people who worship them. The 2 holy... Septorians. The 2 Septorians and the 2 groups of people who worship them. 2 holy beasts. Septorians and the holy beast disappeared, and the people changed their names. What happened in Erebonia 1,200 years ago. And that which revealed to you the truth behind the land of Erebos. This story still requires a modicum of speculation. Please keep that in mind. Okay, we're getting a lore-heavy episode.
beginning, this land housed 2 of the Septarian. The Arc Rouge, Septarian of fire and wielder of fierce power. The Los Zem, Septarian of earth and bearer of unyielding endurance. Each assumed the form of a colossal guardian and went about granting boons and performing miracles for its people.
The things.
For a few centuries, the land of Erebonia prospered. But eventually, its people began to vie for power and control. The Septarians had always granted their people's wishes. But now, their peoples each wished for the other's destruction. And so, the 2 colossi began fighting. Their battle ravaged the earth and split the sky, devastating the entire region. The humans tried to stop them, but it was in vain. The Septarians' fight continued 1,000 days, scorching the land black. When the battle ended at long last, it was a tie. Exhausting their power in one final strike, the 2 Septarian were blown away, left as nothing but empty shells. Yet the tale did not end there.
The power expelled by each Septarian collided and became one, resulting in the creation of an entirely new entity. The Great One, the Septarian of Steel.
Okay, here we go.
It was an existence created from the union of fire and earth. It was beyond anything else in this realm. It was the ultimate source of power. Though things seemed fine at first, the survivors of the war soon realized the eternal conflict within it. They knew this conflict would cause it to grow ever more unstable, and that it was not something that could be handled by mankind.
With the Holy Beast's assistance, the kins of fire and earth joined together to see the Great One sealed away. However, each of their attempts ended in failure. Left with no other options, they resorted to their final plan. The Great One would remain whole in the higher plane, yet its physical incarnation in this world split into numerous shards.
Which is that what the like shrines were for?
It was this final gambit that saw disaster averted.
Indeed, their combined efforts bore fruit. The kin of Earth created 7 vessels, while the kin of Fire split the Great One's power and infused each vessel with a part of it.
The Divine Knights.
7 dolls in the form of knights, each bearing the Great One's power. The Divine Knights.
And we know of 4 of the 3. Because we know Rean's got 1, we know that Crow's got 1, we know that the leader of Zephyr's got 1, we know that Sandalot's got 1, or are we pretty sure that Sandalot's got 1 because she kind of disappeared into 1, right? So, whoa. That is beyond fathomable. I was taught about this in bits and pieces, but... So all that happened 1,200 years ago. That wasn't a fairy tale. That wasn't a fairy tale, right? At the very least, something similar happened. So what happened after that? Why did Valimar and the other Divine Knights start fighting? This is as far as the story that passed down goes. The kin of fire became the Hexen clan, the kin of the earth became the gnomes. They split the unstable ultimate power into 7, then both sides decided to watch over the reconstruction after the great collapse. Oh, and by the way, many people from each kinship have since abandoned their roles. They joined together, started accepting people from the surrounding area, created the foundations of what became Erebonia. This is around the same time the Septine Church was spreading across Erebonia. 300 years passed, and the Arnor family established the city of Heimdall. That was the disaster. That's when the disaster of the Dark Dragon occurred.
900 years ago, Heimdall was a small city of only about 50,000 people. However, it was one of the burgeoning centers of culture for the region. The Septine Church had finished construction on the Heimdall Cathedral, and there were plans to develop the city even further. But it was then the Dark Dragon appeared, blanketing Heimdall in miasma and transforming it into a city of the dead. Emperor Astorius chose to lead his people south and made St. Arc the new capital of Erebonia.
In helping Emperor Astorius deal with this crisis, the Hexen clan and gnomes each suffered substantial losses. The Hexen clan lost its elder, and the gnomes their holy beast.
Shit.
And so ended their alliance. The final time they spoke would be a century later. It was when Emperor Hector awakened the Vermilion Knight to reclaim Heimdall from the Dark Dragon. He did so at the urging of the chief of the gnomes and the new elder of the Hexen clan, myself. However, the Emperor fell to the Dark Dragon's miasma, and the Vermilion Knight to its curse.
Okay.
The Emperor's son had the chief of
We
the
did know this
gnomes
from the Black
and myself
Records, or some of
seal
this.
the cursed knight deep below the Imperial Palace.
I feel like I know this from the Black
That
Records.
would be the last act our two clans performed together. I do not know why, but the gnomes cut off contact with our clan and hid themselves away. In the 800 years that followed, whenever war struck Erebonia, a divine knight would enter the stage, demonstrate its might, then vanish. I was certain the gnomes were involved, yet all we could do was guide awakeners on the proper course. This unending pattern reached its most fevered peak 250 years ago during the War of the Lions.
Which, of course,
The false Emperor Orthros unearthed the cursed Vermilion Knight, and a mercenary under Prince Lucius' employ awakened the Palatinate Knight. Prince Dreichels found the Ashen Knight, and Lian the Argent Knight.
yeah, see, Liam we knew about.
The four awakened at once, made for a grand war indeed.
So that's how things connect. There's so many parts to this story, but I want to question, So Emma's grandma was around during the War of the Lions. A good witch. I've heard about them in fairy tales. As the prince's guide, I accompanied Drunkel's camp. I remember those days. I used to be quite the beauty. I mean, to say that the art depiction of me are not inaccurate. As stated earlier, the elder of the witches isn't a normal human. So you've been watching over the clan after becoming an immortal being. Yes, however, I only came into existence 800 years ago. My predecessor perished soon afterward. I don't have many memories from before that. So naturally, there are things that I still do not know. But there are things that you do know about. Like how you said the maiden Lian was the awakener of the Argent Knight, and whether or not she is the Erebos' steel maiden. That's true. You could confirm so many things. It is her. Of that much I am certain. She was the daughter of the count who met the wandering prince, who later challenged the apocalypse, only to lose her life. However, before that happened, it was I who guided Lian to become the Argent Awakener. Lian knew her powers were too great, so I kept them hidden away. It was only during her battle with the apocalypse that she unleashed her final might, but in the end, however, she was fatally injured and passed away after the war. Then, half a year later, I witnessed her revival, along with your ancestor, Yarset, second in command of the Eisenritter. So that's why. You were the ones who revived them, Grandmother. Yes, that's what I would like to know too. After Lian passed, I thought it strange how her body did not rot. So I took her body back to the village, and half a year later she simply woke up. I assumed she had become immortal, though I did not say when or how. Lian realized what was happening to her, so she left Erebonia to walk the earth without even telling her love, Dreichels. She left Legram to Asiat, her right-hand man. I occasionally met with her whenever she came around, but the last time was 20 years ago. That was when she met Erebos' Grand Master, who brought her into the fold. Thank you for sharing this. There are some things that can't be overlooked. We've seen too many incredible things over the last few months. So the boss and Crow were both. As I said earlier, I have no idea specifically what happened, but I think the key is the Divine Knight. The Jägerkin was not an awakener when he was alive. On the other hand, Dracos was an awakener, but he did not become immortal. He has remained dead. That's right. Instructor Rean isn't immortal, is he? He's still been growing since graduating. Yeah, I still have some weird powers, but I'm definitely aged. Isn't there a common reason? I believe there are only two people who know the truth. The current Chancellor Gileath Osborne, and the Chief of the Gnomes, Black Algerbrook. So that's the leader of the Black Workshop. Yes, I do not believe he is immortal like me. The leader of the Gnomes is somehow passed down from one to the next, in order for them to achieve their goal of bringing about the Great Twilight. The Great Twilight? It's the first I've heard of it, but it's like the fairy tale of the end that Vida was talking about. Yes, 800 years ago, we were going our separate ways. That is what the Chief of the Gnomes hold, the Prince and me. It was as if he was foretelling a future where everything ends. Wait, that's too. It's much too similar to the direction of the Empire is heading. So it's the Black Workshop all along. Let me add to this. The reason Black Barkhorn and I were in Erebos because we discovered an anomaly. The spirit veins are being distorted over the continent. The source seemed to be emanate from the Empire. It was like a ripple effect. Incidents in Libero and Crossbell, as well as the Civil War in Arabania, only served to further increase distortions. They continued to get larger after Crossbell and Northumbria were folded into the Empire. And larger again when the cryptids and magic knights of Arebonia appeared in Crossbell. On the other hand, Pleroma grass, which is native to Crossbell, started blooming in the Empire. The Great Twilight really is about to happen. Then all of this seems to be an omen of things to come. Who is this Alberic person? He's the Messman as his agent. He hired the Jägerkin, who's supposed to be dead. There are other gnomes out there? Well, your dear rabbit friends may technically count, but besides the masked man, their leader seems to have at least one other acting agent. Cannot tell you who this is, maybe, but it would seem that they are talented craftsmen at any rate. Oh, before you jump to conclusions, I'm not speaking of that little Brett Schmidt. It seems the person I speak of now possesses a different kind of genius than he does. Talented craftsman. That sounds... There's building some unpleasant ideas in my head. We all know what it is. In any event, Alberic and the Council are probably connected. It's likely to be through the Intelligence Division or his children. The incidents last night and things may have already been put in motion. Why did you say that? Last night we finally decoded the black records that you found the other day. The black records are a collection... they're a collection of a particular type of artifacts sometimes found in Erebonia. I was actually exchanging information about them with Rean. Really? When did that happen? Right before all of you graduated, he revealed his true identity to me. He told me not to tell anyone. I hope you don't hold it against me. Instructor, I mean, Father Thomas. Sheesh, you already took advantage of Rean's sense of responsibility, didn't you? Well, I can't deny it. In any event, this is what the updated Black Records said.
When the sacrifice is made and the ancient blood flows, the path to the Grawl of Erebos shall open. When the tainted holy beast is pierced by the blade of World's End, and its blood fills the Grawl, the great twilight shall fall upon the land.
What? That... The timing is too perfect. The prophecies were written about our current situation. The ancient blood is referring to the Emperor, and the sacrifice referring to Ash? What about the Grawl and the blade? The Grawl is probably related to the Septian Church and the tainted holy beast. Father Thomas, could that be? Yes, as we stated earlier, guys. There is a sacred place beneath the cathedral, a primal ground, a facility that was designed to play a major role after the Great Collapse. 900 years ago, when Heimdall was surrounded in darkness, retreated beneath here and disappeared. Disappeared? I heard about such a facility in Liberal. Yes, there is one beneath the Grand Cathedral in Liberal too. However, when the Heimdall was retaken, there was a space beneath the cathedral that was buried by a rock. But what if it didn't disappear and simply transferred somewhere else? So it still exists. The holy beast mentioned in the prophecy is likely the holy beast of Earth. As I said before, after the disaster 900 years ago, the only speculation, but I believe, is the dark dragon you faced the other day was merely a servant of the true holy beast. Wait a minute. Are you saying that the dark dragon wasn't the cause of everything? Though it is indeed powerful cryptid, it's not something the witches of the names could not take care of together. The Erebos gave birth to the Dark Dragon, but is still alive somewhere. But where else could it be but the primordial ground? With all the conditions set forth for the prophecy lining up, this has got to be a joke. Regarding the Blades of World's End that defeats the Holy Beast, now the scriptures is called the Originator Zero, speculating it is a special weapon crafted by the Black Workshop. What in the world? At the very least, the body wasn't anything like what the boss uses. I think it's made of Zamorian ore like the weapons used by the Divine Knights. That would seem most likely.
Muse?
Oh,
Is something the matter?
Oh?
You realize something?
Right now, we need any straw we can grasp at.
Anything at all could help, no matter how small.
what do you know?
Yes, you're right. That term. Originator Zero. Could that be OZ, perhaps?
That's what the Black Workshop called Millium and Altina.
They're model numbers. OZ.
Okay.
Oh, what are you talking about?
So you finally made it.
That voice.
Vita!
Ah, so the prodigal granddaughter returns.
Family reunion.
Misty, Vita.
I heard you had been acting on your own. Nice to see you again, Grandmother. Emma, Celine, and Class VII, too. And thank you for mediating, Mr. Lysander.
Oh, don't even mention it. It always breaks my heart to see a family torn apart so.
Vita! Why? You really don't plan on ever coming back, do you?
That's correct. As I said before, my allegiance will forever lie with the Grandmaster. I can't return to you and Grandmother. I can never go back to the way I used to be.
Okay.
Just like the Steel Maiden.
Seriously, who even is this Grandmaster person?
That's the biggest thing we all want to know.
I have no clue. But it is clear she is quite taken with them. So do tell, Vita. If you have not decided to return to us, why show yourself now? Has Ouroboros finally decided upon its course of action?
Yes. After our experiments with the 3 ions, the 6 other Anguis came to a unanimous decision. They decided to ignore my warning. They will work with the Chancellor and the Gnomes to bring about the Great Twilight, completing the Phantasmal Blaze Plan.
Interesting.
So that's how it is. The reason Ouroboros was so quiet the past month wasn't because they left Erebonia.
It was to carry out their plan and determine whether they should work alongside enemies and traitors.
How can that be? If that were the case, it means...
They're all our enemies?
Is this?
It's not the cathedral's bell.
Huh? I think I recognize it from Crossbell.
Here we go.
You do?
Yeah, I'm sure of it. I remember hearing it right before the incidents in Crossbell, when we were still independent. Oh, the one from the museum!
Gonna say.
The bell from Stargazer's Tower?
But the sound's coming from a different direction than the museum.
The Phantasmal Blaze Plan. What a fitting name. I wonder how much of this she foresaw.
That is quite enough mumbling to yourself. If you know what is going on, show us!
She.
It'll be a bit tough without Grianos. I'll need your help, Grandmother. Emma, Celine, you too.
Yes!
Ugh, I'm not your slave.
Corel Imperial Palace or Villa. So this is part of that was the Vermilion Night. Or at least a part of it. They at least don't seem sure. They've got Altina. Fucking George is there too. And the guy at the black with the blue hair.
Now then, let's say we celebrate the continuation of the Phantasmal Blaze plan by ringing in the Great Twilight. I, Enforcer number 0, the Fool, shall play the opening note.
$500 Arch Point. Okay, this is the Holy Beast. As darkness falls through. There's fucking Sharon there as well. She never said she wasn't part of Ouroboros, remember, still. A big dark out dragon egg.
Check that out!
Huh. Sure is something.
Well, how about that?
So, the beginning of the end, is it?
Deja vu.
The Grawl of Erebos. Just as the Black Records foretold.
The crypt where the great power will be reborn.
Cedric's definitely an Ironblood.
Rean. Eustace.
Couldn't have guessed this is how my day would turn out when I woke up this morning.
Let us begin. It is time. Chief of the Gnomes and head of the workshop, show me the way, Black Alberic.
We still haven't seen his face. Of course, it's Professor fucking
As you
Littleman.
wish, my lord.
It's so obviously Professor Luckman. Okay, we got some serious fights coming up ahead. Maybe a Caponella George combo, an Alzritter, a whole bunch of Red Constellation folks, 2 Zephyrs, a Chancellor, all of the Intelligence Division. Millium, we're going to fight Millium maybe? But at least we know that the weapons now are apparently Millium and Altina themselves.
Rufus. Millium.
Was that Allie?
Yes. But why?
Boss,
My
Zeno,
boss, my
and
dog.
Leo.
My dogger agrees. Why?
Azure Siegfried.
And that guy in the lab coat, isn't that...
The blazing demon and the fool were there as well.
So that's the maiden.
Why?
Sharon.
We just spoke this morning and...
Oh shit.
What's going on?
I think I just... I think that may be Elisa's father.
Elisa.
That man's name was Lumen or something like that, right? His hair looked different.
Franz Lumen, the first disciple of G. Schmidt and the deceased husband of the Reinford Group's chairman, also known as Franz Reinford.
Ah, so he has been lurking in the shadows these past 20 years.
Yes. Perhaps for the sake of working with the Chancellor to engineer this very moment.
Elisa.
Snap out of it! Now's not the time! As a bracer, I can't just sit here and let them pull off whatever that Twilight crap is they're planning. How about all of you?
She's
Here we
right.
go.
We can't stop here.
We can't.
We gathered together to do whatever we could to help. Our goal remains unchanged.
Yep, true.
Elisa, let's go.
Yeah.
Not so enthusiastic.
Well, Vita, what will you do now?
Well, I'd like to charge in there alongside the rest of you, mostly out of spite. Unfortunately, I suspect things won't be quite that easy.
What do you...
Something's...
There's a turbulent swirl in the mana.
Was that? I believe so.
Sir Lysander, Sir Gaius, cryptids and magic knights have appeared all over the city.
Okay. And I think maybe that's a really good place to say, if you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Peace and love.